Alright, the first thing that's going back in, I got everything out, got the bushing replaced. I cleaned the whole casing up with brake cleaner. The notch down there that you see, I marked the wall of the transmission with a Sharpie with a marker, because this piston that I put new seals on, and I used petroleum jelly around all the seals. There's one inside and two on the outside, and when you put the seals on, don't put the seals on this direction. Put the seals on from the back to the front. And this has a little lug on it. This little lug right here. And I have the top of the piston here marked with a marker, so that way it indicates where the lug is up here, so I can take the top mark and line it up with the mark inside and drop it on down. I've got the piston in. It's not seated all the way, but you could pretty much tell that it's in the slot. Push down a little, rock it back and forth. If it spins around like that, it's not in. So you just want to give it some pressure. Push down a little bit and rock it back and forth, and it's going to let you know that it's in the slot there. And you're going to take a hammer handle and just take it and just ease it down. You don't take much pressure at all, so you'll see it go down. Just go around it and just give it some pressure. Alright, it's in. Alright, I got my piston seated. Just wanted to show you this to let you know if it's seated down far enough. Your arc linkage, you can bring it in without it touching it, the piston. And you probably got it down far enough. Just be sure you use a rubber hammer handle, something that ain't hard, so that way you don't bust your piston. And then that should take you to the next step, which is my spring. I've sprayed it off with brake cleaner real good. I've had to go back in there, and I'll compress that down with my tool here. Compress that down and put my locking ring on. Little snap ring, put that over there so that way it keeps that spring down. The rear planet carrier, you want to go in next. Be sure you drop it down inside. Alright, your spring clip, it's going to go right down here, just like that. You know, put some transmission lube or petroleum jelly up against it so it stays in one spot. You don't want it to move. Alright, your reverse clutches, go down starting with a plate and then a clutch, and then another plate, okay, if it ain't working, then flip it over. And then a clutch. then you're gonna have that. Well, that's it. There you go. Alright, your rear support will go next. And it's only going to fit one way also. And you're going to have to push it down past that clip. You want to, what's going to go under the clip like that. See, there's your clip right there you put in earlier. And then your race is going to spin. So you can push it down. That's it. Now when you put your snap ring in, you want your opening to go right above the that little clip that you put in earlier. There you go. That'll work. Your sun shell will go next. And then your rear planet carrier will go on after that. And then don't forget your snap ring. That'll go on there. Alright, there you go. Be sure that's on good. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Alright, after you get your snap ring in, then you put your front planet rear gear in. There you go. Alright, I got my direct clutch on top of my output shaft, and the way I could tell that it was on there all the way, I just looked down there at the bearing, and you could see the bearing move when you spin this around. So that lets me know that it should be down all the way, and just take this and set it right down inside. And work it down real easy so it drops down. When you drop your direct clutch in and your output shaft in, be sure you put the linkage in the arc direction, so that way as you're spinning this, it will drop the lugs that's on the direct shaft into the sun shell. That might help you out a little bit to get it in, and you'll see it set down inside a little bit onto the sun shell, inside the sun shell slots. Alright, I got my band in, and it's set in the slot, the groove there. The other one is set in its groove, so we'll go to the next step. Get that in. Alright, once you get that in, you're going to have your thick little steel called pressure plate. You're going to put that in first. Then you want to put your first clutch in on top of that. Then a steel clutch, steel, then your clutch. Then your last steel. Then your wave ring, little thin ring. Put that on top of your last steel. And then you put your pump gasket on. And then once you got that lined up, you get your pump and line it up, and then drop it on down. Be sure that your holes line up. Be sure you got some transmission lube or Vaseline, petroleum jelly, something like that around the seal, so that way it doesn't tear or goes down easy. Alright, once you get your pump in, just be sure you check all your bolt holes. Just look down them and be sure the gasket's in line and the bolts line up and everything looks good. Next is your band servo. Just drop that in there. Alright, and you're going to put your two filters in. One to go there, and the other one to go here. Alright, you have 5 check balls. One's here, 2's here, 3's here, 4's here, and on this one, the 5th one's going to be here. Alright, next you'll put your gasket on. Then your separator plate. And then your valve body gasket. Alright, I got 2 valve body bolts here and here to keep the gasket and the plate aligned. Then put my separator plate here, and then put my bolts in. Alright, I got my bracket put here, then put my bolts in that. And don't forget your solenoid. That's going to bolt down right there. Your two of your bolts hold your top bracket on. Those 2 bolts are going to be the bolts that's also going to hold your solenoid down. Alright, I'm going to remove my 2 bolts that I used to line the gasket off. Then I want to put my valve body on. Alright, I just put my valve body on. Be sure your kick down linkage and your S-link here goes in and on first. This goes in and that goes on kind of at the same time, so you want to tilt your valve body down. Put your kick down link in the hole. Put your S in your shifter bracket, and then tilt the back of the valve body down, line it up with the bolts, and then run your bolts down. You put your wires in your wire clips that are on the valve body bolts. I have 2 on mine, and then plug in your solenoid. That should be it. And then put your gasket on your transmission filter still in the bag. It should have a marking printed on the filter, says front, so you'll put it on just like that. Once you got your accumulator piston in, you put your spring in, then your cover, and push your cover in, and put your lock ring in. Put your modulator valve in, and your modulator.
Yeah, there we go.
Then you install your speedometer clip and gear. If your transmission had one of these caps, put that back on. Be sure from the back of this lip to here, 3/4 of an inch. Then you install your tail housing. And you're ready for your torque converter.